Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of It's Cheaper Than Therapy podcast. I am your host, Roland Kersing, aka Ro Nice. I'm sorry I missed last week. I had a lot going on, but I am back this week. I know my co-host has been out for a while, but he has some his own personal things to attend to, and I'm rocking by myself right now. Hopefully we get back and we got some big things coming up in the future. Um, so today I'm gonna piggyback a little bit off what I talked about last week, or the last episode when I was talking about women's standards being high or it's begging. That's from a financial standpoint, but we're gonna touch deeper into that kind of relationship stuff this week. Um, there's a lot that goes along with being in a relationship from the financial standpoint, the personal standpoint, emotion standpoint, love standpoint. It's a lot. And, you know, I'm not perfect. No one is. This is all about possibly helping somebody get through a situation, whether it may be anything. So, everything I try to do from week to week with you guys is always a potential learning lesson, even for myself and for anybody out there listening that may need to hear a different perspective or a different point of view about something that they're going through. So this week, I'm going to touch base on, what do we do when we're conflicted about certain things? In relationships and there's ups and downs, ins and outs, and things that we all go through. And I don't tell anyone, right now, if you in a position where you love someone and you care about someone and they mean everything to you, don't drop the ball. We all drop the ball. We all fumble things in life. We all make things hard on ourselves, and we don't realize what we do until the after effects are slapping us in the face. So, I want to encourage everybody to do the right thing in every aspect of your life. And sometimes when we younger, we do stupid stuff and we don't pay attention to what we got going on. That's why, last episode when I was talking about women's high standards and money, in this country, especially among African American couples, um, finances will tear us apart faster than anything. Um, they will make things hard for everybody, and you try to get through it to the best way you can. So we try to get through those things and make things right for everybody, including ourselves and the person that means the most to us. But money is always a funny thing. It can tear us apart. It can make life easy. It can make life hard. It can make people be disrespectful and take others for granted. When you out there watching what they call, high value men and men with money, we tend to take things for granted when we got money that we can, and we don't pay attention to what's the most important thing in our life, and we don't figure out how to hold on to that. Or when we go through the struggle of financial hardship, we don't know how to work together and stand tall with each other, and it pushes it apart. So, everything about relationships has its ups and downs, ins and outs, finances, intimacy, romance, communication, just the backbones of everything, friendship, everything. So, you know, I watch people go around in this world and do things to that's not always conducive to what they really want out of this life. So, and that even speaks for myself. So, you got to really think about the things that you do when you do them, because you don't know the ripple effects that those things may have down the line. And, for me, you know, I think communication is always the biggest thing, and how you get around those things and how you make things work, from finances to, uh, just working through everything. And I know, finances is always the big, communication is big, discovering what is intimacy and what do you want that from that person, what they expect from you. For me, it all boils down to communication and getting to understand what's going on. So, um, so when as I'm telling you these things, it's like, make sure that you don't fumble, you don't drop the ball with someone for the littlest of things, because you don't know when that's gonna turn into down the line. And we can all talk from experience. We can talk from a place of understanding, especially at the ages that we're at now. I myself, I will be turning 46 in November, so I'm closer to 50 than 40. Thank God, God has blessed me with the ability to not to look that way. So, I definitely am thrilled about that. So, and when we go through these things and we argue and we're not sure how to communicate, we don't we devalue, de-appreciate, and don't really understand what's the most important things to us. So, you know, and I'm watching, people around me go through certain things, and unfortunately, I hate that, uh, and so I'm gonna tell anyone, I'm not gonna keep you guys long today. So I'm gonna tell anyone anything to help them out and give them some tidbits, just to help them. We have to, because this is my podcast is also about preserving the black family, the black relationship, the black couple. Because as the black family and the black couple and the black relationship goes, so as the black community goes, so my whole goal would be me doing this podcast, even though we have silly topics, we have serious topics. Um, it's all about communication. Hence why I named it Cheaper Than Therapy, because I had to go to therapy myself at some point in time and deal with my own struggles with communication and talking, and, burying my feelings and my emotions. Because, as men, we're taught to bury all our emotions and keep going strong and make sure we're the provider and the protector, and that if we even reveal a little bit of emotion, and we're considered soft and punks. But sometimes people have to realize, even as the strongest man and the most alpha or dominant of men, when you deal with so much in your life, it puts so much on your shoulders, and sometimes it can turn you off. And when you get turned off, and it turns you off to emotions and feelings, I guess I'm gonna say, and it turns you off to learn how to express those things in the most positive of ways. And it can, push loved ones away, and that's not the whole goal of, communication. That's the opposite, the absolute opposite of communication, and it's the absolute opposite of showing love and appreciation for someone, when you can't communicate with them and push them away. So, as I sit here, I'm not trying to be on my soapbox. It's just every little thing that goes into a relationship, and love and trust and understanding. They all have the building blocks to where we need to be as couples, individuals, which will better help us as a group of people as all. Because, you know, coming up on everything we've seen with the construct of what society has made for African American men and women, we're at odds with each other for everything. They're definitely, the women's movement to be independent is great. But we also got to be realize that being independent has its levels, being codependent has its levels, and when you learn how to build those blocks together, as far as independence and codependence, you can go so much further in this world as a couple and as individuals. So, you know, that's why we got to sit back and look at everything about ourselves, about our partner, and understand, what this construct is going to be so we can make everything better. Um, you know, Again, we all probably sat down and watched the BET Awards a couple of weeks ago. They definitely were interesting, none I say the least, but I was not a big fan of how our black women were being portrayed. Everything was so overly sexualized. And people say, well, what does that got to do with the relationship topic? It's all about independence and communication. Because once, you become so independent to the point where you are overly sexualized, you got to think about how does that make your black male look at you? What does he want? What does he expect? And what will he will and won't do for you? And people was gonna say, well, women should be able to behave how they want to in this time frame. This ain't the 50s, the 60s. This ain't caveman mentality, and that's definitely not the narrative I want to push. That a woman's place is barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. That's not something that I even believe into. So I'm not going to push that narrative. But as we watch what's going on with how our young black women are portrayed as overly sexualized, and they got to be half naked to show their worth, or their worth is what's between their legs, or as they get older, they got to be so independent they don't need a man, or they become bitter, or it just turns things away. And as um, you look as a black man, you got to watch it from both sides. And it's like, you know, as we get older, certain things are not as attractive. The overall overly sexual woman publicly, that's not attractive. The overall super independent woman is not attractive. Everything in this world is about balance, and we got to learn how to find balance in every aspect of what we do in this world. And if we don't have balance, we're going to lose the things that we care about the most. So you got to figure that out in any what way, shape, or form that may be. Um, so I tell anybody, really don't drop the ball when just because you want to be stubborn or stuck in your ways. You don't want to drop that ball. You want to keep going. You want to keep striving. You want to keep pushing. You want to work hard for what's important to you, because tomorrow is definitely not promised. So you got to know what you want to do and what you need to do, and you got to be prepared to fight. And we always want to run and not put in the work, but that's not something that's conducive to growing the black community, growing the black family. That's the overall goal. I feel like, what I'm trying to do at this juncture, growth as a people. And I'm not Dr. Umar, I'm not Malcolm, I'm not Martin, I'm not this gigantically overall activist, but I do believe in um, black love, black people, black community, and I want us to have growth and understanding and respect for each other, because it's the only way we're going to be respected and appreciated by other people, other races, other nationalities, and things of that nature. Um, we got to go stand and fight strong, and it really does start with the black family, which starts with black love. So, and people might think at me like, well, what do I know about that, or who am I to speak on that? I'm like I said, None of us are perfect. I ain't trying to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. Um, but we have to know what we're doing while we're out here living this life, because life is short. So, that's why I said that topic of finances and what women expect financially is a big thing, because it all pulls back into how do we grow, how do we communicate as a people, because, we got to do it together. Um, and we all make bad choices here and there, but that's a part of life. That's a part of learning. Um, you know, we all gonna go through something, and we gotta decide how we're gonna handle it. Sorry, my leg was itching. Um, but like I said, going back to what we saw in the BET Awards, unfortunately, that's what we're thought of now. There's a lot of things I could say that might piss the YouTube world off, and that's not my goal. So I'm trying to be as clean cut but as straightforward as I can be, with my message. So I guess my overall topic of the day, is why is I guess why is knowing what you want and being able to communicate what you want so important, and what we do, as couples, as individuals, as people, as a group, as a race. There's so many ways, so many things we got to figure out, that we got to really strive for that. And if we don't, we're going to lose the things that matter most to us. And that's not never been the goal, because if you start losing stuff, you start becoming unstable. It's like losing limbs. You can't be, not to disrespect to anyone that might have lost a limb or maybe paralyzed or whatever. But when you start losing limbs, you become unstable. You can't balance yourself. So, and it takes time to figure out how to balance yourself once you lost that limb. But the after all over effects could be extremely damaging and long, deep rooted. So, you know, you got to really know how to stabilize yourself and not fumble the things that matter the most, and not worry about stuff that society tells us we should or shouldn't be doing, what our family tells us what we should and we shouldn't be doing, what our friends tell us what we should be doing. And um like I said, that leads back to the last topic, when it comes to money. Like, everybody focuses on that. I saw a clip over the last couple of days. This young man approached, it's a show where these guys come in and the women pop balloons to show that they're not interested in the guy. And the guy was like, he owned his own company, it was a moving business. And he was like, over the last 3 years, he made anywhere between $80,000 to $95,000. And the girl still popped the balloon like that wasn't good enough. She was like, well, since you own your own business, you need to be making $150 a year. And I'm like, we not being realistic with our expectations sometimes of what our partner should and should not be doing on that financial level. And it's like, is that society bleeding into um, our minds, and we're not really thinking logically, and we're just thinking based on what everybody tells us we should do, when logic tells us that if he's making 75, 90,000, and she's making 50, 60, 70,000, now we got that dual income household, and we could really do some damage out here in this world, which is very important. But it's just all about focus. It's all about knowing what you want, what you need, and what's important. And until we start to figure that out, we're going to be unstable individually. We're going to be unstable together. So, and when you, like I said, when you become unstable, things get taken away from you. the things that matter the most get taken away from you. And I know nobody at the end of the day wants the things that they value the most to be taken away from them, because it's what makes life worth living. So, so that's my soapbox on, about knowing what you want and being sure and not taking things in this world for granted, and not just letting society tell us what we should and shouldn't do and what we should and shouldn't accept, because it's just so many positive things out here that we can do, that we can learn from, and that we can make these things better. Um, you gotta learn how to communicate with your significant other. You gotta talk. You can't bury everything all the time, because then too much gets lost. So that's my soapbox on that. That's something I've been thinking about lately, and trying to get through. You know, like I said, some of the smallest things will give you the most significant, aha moment, or the smallest things give you the most clarity. So, and just from watching certain movies and shows and being in certain situations, the smallest things has given me so much clarity over these last few weeks, and it's it's profound. I can say it to you that way. Um, you just gotta know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. But that's enough of that stuff. My next little topic is the biggest thing that's going on right now is uh, LeBron James' son being drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. Some people are calling it nepotism. Some people saying his son shouldn't have only got drafted because of his father. Well, that holds to be true to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want as parents? Isn't that what we really all want? Not to necessarily cripple our children, but if our child works hard for something, whatever it may be in sports and whatever, and we as a parent have the ability to create an opportunity, wouldn't we take it? It's what everything's built on. That's what the phrase comes from. It's not always what you know, it's who you know. Well, that's what that phrase gets puts on. It's built on. So why is it that this man finally got to have the dream that most of us may never have? And I'm not even talking about from a professional sports level. I'm talking about from the level of working side by side with our children, and whatever it be, a family business, or having our child go into our realm, or our career goal. Not saying you're supposed to live vicariously through your children, but all of us at some point in time, even though we want our children to live their own life, we want them to potentially follow in our footsteps. You know, even my own son, I tried to get him into real estate. And he found it to be boring. But I just got to approach. He's in the computers and anime and computer science, but so I tried to approach him with that. He told me it was boring. It hurt a little bit. I can't lie. But at the same time, I can't make him live my dream. I can't make him live my life. Only thing I can do is show him the benefits of real estate from a financial longevity and a financial stability standpoint. I hope he takes heed to that at the end of the day, to learn the benefits and the power of having real estate in his investment portfolio. So if that's about the level of his involvement in real estate comes, then I have to be comfortable with that. But if I can make it to where he has everything and he was interested in it, I would bend over backwards. So why is LeBron James showing nepotism towards his son? Because he pulled some strings to get his son drafted by the team that he plays on, so he can play with his son. I mean, we always gonna pull strings for our children if we can. Now, like I said, you don't want to, make your child complacent and not willing to work hard, but we always gonna want to pull those strings to make the best life for our children. And I noticed he's getting a lot of feedback and flack and hate and pushback and saying all kind of negative things about him because it's something that we all dream about. It's something this country is built about. How many senators and politicians and CEOs and all that get their children in positions that to be their successors or to work side by side, and sometimes they didn't put in the hard work. But I could say, with LeBron James' son, he, following being a LeBron James fan, and even you take, God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant. You think he wanted his daughters to play basketball, and the one that did, unfortunately, she passed away with him. But I believe he, through who he was, she got a lot of advantages with camps and being able to travel and go to different events. So it doesn't make it nepotism. It just means we always want our children to experience life from the fruits of our labor, the fruits of our expertise, the fruits of what we lay before them. So and that brings me back to when you're talking about knowing what you want, developing the black family, securing the black family, making the black family stable, because you never know what you stabilize, you can make a great opportunity for your child going forward. And I feel like that's what LeBron James did with stabilizing his career in the NBA for 21 years, stabilizing his business acumen, making himself a powerhouse not only on the basketball court, but from a level of where he's respected at the upper levels to a certain extent by management, GMs, owners, and things of that nature. That hey, if I can pull this off, I'm gonna pull it off for the benefit of my son. Now people are like, well, his son's not good enough. I mean, there's a lot of NBA players that's not good enough, but time will tell about LeBron James' son, and time will tell about anybody else's, the CEO company that gets his son or daughter the CFO or the COO, and they may have not went to an accredited school, or they may not have the degrees, but they learned from the tutelage of their parents and got that position, by knowing that parent being in charge. More power to them, and if it works out and they become a powerhouse at that position, then let them be that and enjoy that. Um, so I just don't think that's another problem we have is we're tearing each other down. Let that man and his son be great. Let that man and his family be great. Regardless of how you feel about him as a basketball player, we have all got to look at ourselves and like, who wouldn't want that for our children if that is what we were doing, if we were professional athletes, if we were high-end doctors, high-end lawyers, if we were CEOs and presidents and owners and entrepreneurs, who wouldn't want that for their children? That is the greatest gift or greatest thing you can feel. And that doesn't mean your child has to stay in that lane, but just knowing that you created that opportunity is sometimes all the satisfaction as parents that we need, that we know we created the opportunity for our child to maybe walk in those footsteps. So, you know, let's be, real and adults about a lot of things in this world, that we don't necessarily have to tear each other down or make it, that bad, even though we feel the way we feel about him as a basketball player. I mean, Michael Jordan tried for his sons. It just didn't work out. But I mean, other people have tried for their kids and it worked out. He's just the first person able to play side by side with his child in the NBA. And I'm pretty sure Dell Curry would have loved to had the longevity enough to play with Stephen and Steven. I'm pretty sure of it, but unfortunately that wasn't his. I mean, Ken Griffey Junior did it with his son in Major League Baseball. Like, it's certain things people are able to do, and we have to, salute those achievements and stand by those people, even though, they're already gonna get torn down enough by the establishment. We have to take, understand the word fan is short for fanatic, and we got to learn how to let the word fan be what it means, but don't be so disparaging and don't be so closed-minded to believe that those things that he did for his son that we wouldn't do in a heartbeat for our sons, our daughters, wherever it may be, at whatever professional level that they are at. So, um, I'm kind of gonna wrap up today with that. And just a quick recap. And start off saying, guys, if don't let things get in the way of what you really want to do or what you really want or who you really want. Don't let nothing break that down. Stand on it. Do what you got to do. Don't let money, finances, um, lack of communication, stupidity, bullheadedness, and all that other BS that we think is important out here in this world matter. Because when you watch a real married couple that's been married for 40, 50 plus years, all that stuff doesn't matter. Um, Secondly, nepotism and what we should do for our kids, and we don't want to cripple them and make them spoiled, privileged kids. But at the same time, we want to be able to create opportunities. I feel like that's the whole point of parent-child dynamic. You always want more for your child than what you had. So if you can create an opportunity, create an opportunity. But if you see your child working, and even if you can't create the opportunity or um, just find a way. But if you know they put in the work to get an opportunity and you have the ability to create it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with creating it. Absolutely nothing wrong with creating it. Let's see. Last but not least, what I think last show the Boston Celtics had won the championship by then, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. So much has been going on. Um, uh, let's see. Well, yeah, that pretty much that's what I got. So again, guys, do what you got to do for who you got to do it for. Make it worth it. Don't lie to yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat your family, your kids, your friends. Just make this life the best life you can make it. I'll be back next week. I want to thank all my supporters, my subscribers. Keep watching the videos. Again, the email is cheaperthantherapyshow@gmail.com. The phone number is, oh God, I don't remember the phone number. I had to get that to you again because I did change the phone number for the show. But you can still email me, comment on my YouTube page. I'm also on Rumble and Spotify. Send me any requests through my Facebook page, Cheaper Than Therapy Show. I'll respond. Any real estate questions, again, I'm here for that. 803-306-4004 only for real estate questions. People, please let that be for only those things. Interest rates are dropping. Don't be afraid. There are a lot of programs out there, down payment assistance, Palmetto Heroes. Hit me up if you want some information on that. I'll be glad to give you that information. Again, I want everybody to enjoy their Sunday and peace, and you guys, have a good life out there.